All right, everybody. So today we have on the podcast Greg O'Gallagher. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself?
Doing well. I almost said we have Kinobody with us today because I think obviously a lot of people associate that with you. So before we dive into the podcast and all of that, as with all the podcasts, we start with a charity donation. And so you mentioned today we're doing one based on clean water and getting that to people who really don't have that resource. So could you just briefly explain what we chose?
Yeah, so a charity I've been donating to for a while is Charity Water, and the reason I picked that charity is just because I believe it has the most direct impact. Every dollar you donate makes a big difference, and it goes to directly to providing clean water for those in need. So I came across that charity last year, and it spoke to me, and it's one that I'm very happy to donate to.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, no, and you made a good point as far as like the economics of it, because there's a lot of important charities out there, but there are a few key ones where, like you said, like literally every dollar makes a significant difference. Like malaria charities are a big one where, like, you can actually kind of quantify like how much money goes towards saving a life. And so obviously clean water is a huge one. So thanks for making us aware of that.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, as we mentioned, the brand Kinobody, I mean, you've been around for a while now. Actually, I didn't realize like how long it's been. And then I saw, I think actually how we started talking on Instagram was I referenced a video that you had done 9 years ago, and you're already very strong then. So, for the few people who maybe don't know you, how did you get into lifting? How did you get into like the brand of Kinobody?
Yeah, so lifting was something that I wanted to do when I was like 6 years old, and I saw my dad lifting weights. I just, from a very young age, I just made that connection where I wanted to be strong and powerful. I had a collection of action figures. I watched action movies with Van Damme, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Sylvester Stallone, and it was like in me where I wanted to become strong and powerful. And so as soon as I was allowed to start lifting weights, like I was on that. I was doing push-ups as like a 9, 10 year old. At 12 or 13 years old, I started to lift weights, and I started to lift weights consistently. And then I started getting into like reading fitness books and different workout programs at 14 years old. And I started
Okay.
to follow different people's training programs. Ross Animate was someone that I did Ross Animate stuff. I did starting strength. I did some of the Joe DeFrank strength conditioning stuff. It's about their
Mhm.
bodybuilding routines, and then over the years I kind of found what worked well for me as far as putting on strength, getting stronger, what didn't work. And then throughout like that process, I started to sort of, put the pieces together and create my own sort of system, and refining it over the years. So that's pretty much how I got into lifting. And then as far as Kinobody came to be, that was when I was 19, and I kind of realized that there was a lot of different fitness approaches that were cool, that worked, that I enjoyed doing, but nothing really spoke to me because okay, I'm doing the strength and conditioning coach a program that football players are doing. I'm like, well, that's great, but I'm not a football player, or I'm doing this bodybuilding program, but that bodybuilding look doesn't necessarily speak to me, and so. I was like, what do I actually want? Like, if I create my own fitness system, my own fitness protocol, and philosophy, what does that look like? And it really came down to one, you know, looking like an absolute movie star. Like the physique that spoke to me wasn't necessarily a bodybuilder, wasn't
Mhm.
necessarily, a football player. It was like Brad Pitt and Troy,
Right.
or Ryan Reynolds. It was a decent amount of muscle, but very lean and just crazy proportion. And it was, how do I achieve that, but still be athletic, strong, and powerful? And, so be that lean guy, but can lift like heavy weight. Because I always thought that was cool, being athletic, strong, and powerful. And three, how do I do this without killing myself and spending all the time in the gym? How do I achieve this while actually being able to enjoy the process and be able to enjoy a diet I actually like, as opposed to cutting out carbs or just feeling like eating tiny little meals. And so that was sort of the framework of the system that I wanted to. Those were the objectives of the system I wanted to create, and and I launched my first program years ago, probably 2012. And my following at the time was a lot smaller, but people were jumping
Yeah.
on the program. They were loving it. And the craziest thing, like I have to say, with the programs I've released, and I even have free workout articles on my website. But people that were doing my programs were getting crazy results. I was just getting testimonials every day, like I couldn't believe, and I was blown away. I'm like, not only is this
Yeah.
helped me achieve my goals, I'm like, these people not so because a lot of people buy workout programs and buy workout programs, but they don't do anything, or they follow it for a month and they give up, or they follow it for a year and they don't really get many results. People buy my program and they're sucked into the philosophy. They're bought in, they're motivated, and they follow it to a T, and they start getting results like clockwork. And then I'm getting these crazy 3 month, 6 month, 1 year transformations virtually every day. And it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, man. I see that like right now you got the superhero program going, right? And
Yeah.
I think a lot of people, when you said like Ryan Reynolds in, I think it was Blade 3, that like scene where he's trapped down there, but like that kind of like iconic picture of him, Brad Pitt, like you said. I think a lot of like Gen Pop people and like a lot of guys in their teens and 20s relate to that more than like you said, bodybuilder. I think like especially now with all the Marvel movies, that's like that kind of like Chris Hemsworth, Chris Evans. I don't know if you happen to see it. I made a little post recently on so I have the same birthday as Chris Evans, and I'm exactly 10 years younger. So I figured Captain America was 10 years ago. They're looking for a new Captain America, same height, same weight. I think it works out.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I think that physique it's what people want, but it's also a lot more attainable, right? I mean, I'm not saying everybody can look like Chris Hemsworth and Thor. I mean, most people probably can't maybe look like that, but like I said, like Brad Pitt, or something like that. It's relatable, and I think even for yourself, like you have very impressive physique and very impressive strength. But roughly, like how tall and what's your weight?
I'm 5'10", and everyone throws my weight around online and saying I'm 170. I'm not 170. I'm 180. So
Okay.
I've been down to 170 for actually, you know what? I haven't been down to 170 in a long time. I've been down to like 173, 174, but I've been most consistently around 180.
Yeah, and very lean though, I think is a big part of it, right? So, yeah, and 5'10", 180 lean, like people will hear 180 and maybe that's why like they might think like that's not like a huge person. But if you were the body fat that a lot of these people are, you'd be like 210, right? Or 200, something like that,
Yeah.
because you're so lean. And that's important to keep in mind.
Yeah, no, yeah, it's a good point. And even on like the fat-free mass index, like there's not that much more muscle for me to gain, as far as staying natural. So I mean, there's not too many guys that are 195
Yeah,
chiseled
right.
at 5'10". Very rare to see.
Yeah, for sure. So, not totally related to lifting specifically, but I saw like we follow some similar people. So, like I said, a lot of the evidence-based people. I saw it looks like you're into MMA. Is that right?
You know what? I actually was into like martial art training, mixed martial arts when I was in high school. I
Mm-hmm.
trained for a couple years, or 3 years, and then I completely stopped all that training and was just obviously dedicated to fitness. And then
Yeah.
I picked it up like I just got a coach to train some striking with, probably when I was 25. I just wanted to like bring that stuff back, and then
Yeah.
but then for the last couple of years, I just kind of do a little bit of boxing on my own, just a
Okay.
couple times a week. I'll punch, but it's
Yeah.
funny because I punch Bob, and I used to put up
Right.
content on that for fun, and it's like my most viral content. So like I have
Yeah.
to punch Bob once a week, like so. And I've been putting the videos on TikTok punching Bob, and they've gotten millions of views. And
Yeah.
it's all I kind of do it like part of it's for my own training and benefit, and then part of it's just like, you know what, let's put up a little Bob video.
Yeah.
Because the people love that.
No, man, you've actually got like some legitimate striking skills. There's there's a video of you doing like a Superman punch into Bob, and just like you're on like, you said like that's double octane or something. And I thought that video was hilarious. I must have shown like 10 people that. So I can see why it gets good reception.
That was like a year ago, I think, or something.
Yeah, yeah, a year or two ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I Superman punch, just going crazy on him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? That's what I like. I like having fast hands, and and being quick with the strikes. So yeah, I've gotten my hands pretty sharp.
Yeah. So I think I first started hearing about you when you were making intermittent fasting really popular. And I was actually doing intermittent fasting as far as like the 16/8 back in like 2010, 11. And I
That's
remember
really
being, yeah, I was like one of the like original people, at least as far as I'm aware. And I was very hesitant to do it because it was like, I got actually a very similar story to you. I did some sports and everything, but I was kind of overweight. I got into it very young, maybe 12 years old. And I was like extremely regimented, but I was always doing 6, 7, 8 meals a day. I thought if I went more than 2 hours, it was like a huge deal. So in 2010 or 11, when I tried it, I was very hesitant. And it was like this huge weight off my shoulders because I found that, oh, like I didn't, like my rate of progress didn't slow down at all. I actually, like I would measure like when I was at the same leanness, and I gained at least that much more muscle that year as I did the previous year. So the biggest thing for me, and why I'm still a fan of it, is it's very freeing. I know, hey, if I go a few more hours without eating, it's just not a big deal. And that's how, like, the main reason I promoted it. I think when we look at different studies on it, there are some other benefits, but again, for me, the biggest thing was convenience. Now, I don't know if that's your general stance on it, or if you really find that like there's something specific to it, but I would credit you to really getting it out there, because I think a lot of people still, when they think of intermittent fasting, they associate it with you. So I don't know how you got into that yourself, but I know you certainly promoted it a lot.
Yeah, no, thank you. I came across it similar time, 2011. And I remember I had the same stance where, previously I was like, oh, we have to eat every few hours, smaller meals. And I started to kind of realize a lot of these things that people believe were wrong and false. And so one of the ways I first got into intermittent fasting was actually I bought a book called Eat, Stop, Eat by
Mm,
Brad Elon, where he was actually doing his thesis to discredit fasting, showing that it's bad for you, that it can cause muscle loss. It's not optimal for fat loss. And he started to realize that what he thought he was going to discover, he started to realize that there are huge benefits to fasting, like even beyond the convenience. So similar hormonal effects that happen during exercise are also happen during fasting. But absolutely the main like reason for programming fasting is because it makes it easier to stick to your diet. It makes it easier to hit your calories. So most people out there have fat to lose. They need to get leaner. That's like the first step. Most people are not around 10% body fat. Most people have 10, 15, 20 pounds to lose, and sometimes quite a bit more. And so the main thing that people need to do like right now is let's figure out the most enjoyable way to be in a calorie deficit. And if someone is burning 2,600 calories per day, a lot of people, it's very easy to eat 3,000 calories a day, even if you're not trying to eat a lot. Like
yeah.
3,000 calories is easy, especially when you're eating breakfast, snack, lunch, dinner. It just adds up. Just eating 3,000 calories a day can be hard. But so someone burns 2,600 calories, they're 180 pounds, they want to lose 20 pounds. You need to make that deficit as enjoyable as possible. You need to make eating 2,200 calories a day as enjoyable as possible. And for myself and a lot of my clients, and a lot of people, fasting until 1, 2 p.m., having a nice, delicious lunch, being able to eat a bigger dinner at night that you can actually enjoy, makes getting lean so much easier. It's like every day there's a reward. Whereas, if you're eating 4 or 5 meals a day, it just kind of feels like you have to suffer a little bit to get to your goal. And you have to use a little bit of willpower, and you don't really get to have that nice satisfaction every night. So I found that fasting just simply makes being in a calorie deficit a lot easier.
Yep.
And you got to look forward to epic meals. And so that's the number one benefit if you want to get lean. And again, some people might say like, hey, I actually find it easier to control my calories if I eat 4 meals a day. If that's you, then I will tell you, go and do that. Whatever makes it easiest to stick to your diet, follow that. But even when I'm lean bulking and actually working on gaining strength and muscle, I'm still fasting.
Yeah.
I don't think I've gone a day without fasting. And like since I started, I maybe had brunch like 2 or 3
Right.
times. But I
Right.
didn't even care. I didn't even want to. I wasn't like, I was like, okay, fine, I'll have brunch.
Yeah.
I've skipped breakfast for a year. Let's have a little brunch,
Right. Right.
Um, but that's pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah, now my first year doing it was actually while I was gaining. And I remember because it was like freshman year of college, I gained 7 pounds. And when I say like seven, I mean I bulked up and then I cut back down. But like when I got back to the same leanness, I was now 7 pounds heavier. And then
Right.
my sophomore year, I gained 8 pounds. And that was when I was intermittent fasting. Now, that's not me saying it was clearly superior, but I mean, because, maybe other factors were involved, but it certainly wasn't worse. I mean, I had great results. And in
And that was
college,
8 pounds on top of the
of the
seven
seven,
pounds.
right? So when you would normally be slowing down, you'd think, yeah, that was a good year for sure.
Wow.
And
That's very solid.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, again, that was, I was still significantly smaller than I am now, so I was still, making my way up. But yeah, I mean, it was super convenient, and that was when I was in, like I said, in college. So right now, I like a later eating window, like you, because I like to eat later, have a big dinner, or whatever. But back then, I did everything earlier, so I was done by 5. And okay, you go out to a party, you do whatever, and it was fine. Whereas I literally used to bring a protein shake with me to like a party at like a frat house or something. Like that's just how nuts I was about it. And so to just have that relief was very, like I said, it was very freeing. But all the same things that you said,
You
is
used to,
just,
oh, you used to bring a protein shake before you started fasting,
before I started
or
fasting, yes,
yeah,
yes,
okay.
because I needed to eat every 2 to 3 hours, right?
Yeah,
So it's like, okay, I got to bring my shake, go chug it. Like that's just how I was. If I had a goal, I was going to do it, right? So to find that that wasn't necessary, it wasn't even helpful, was, that was the biggest thing for me. But I'm glad to hear that you're on the same page. Like it's a great way to, have convenience and form a deficit. It doesn't sound like you're saying, look, like it's going to make you look the rock or it's going to have some magical benefits, but it's very helpful.
and absolutely, if you're into fitness, fasting just makes you more productive. Like there's no question about it. Like I remember when I was younger and I was checking out these different fitness models, diet and training programs. And I was just like, how the hell? Like I was maybe 17 years old. I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
how? Like, I wanted to gain muscle. I'm like, how the heck am I going to eat like 4 meals a day, 2 protein shakes, steak here, steak there, like chicken? Just I'm like, how am I? First of all, I'm like 17. I don't have that much money.
Right.
So I'm like, how am I going to afford this? And then I don't want to put the time, energy to cooking, preparing. It's like I would rather put that energy somewhere. Like I would rather put that energy towards my goals, not having this complicated meal plan. And so it's so liberating just being able to wake up every day, have a coffee, get down to business, start working. You get so like your body's actually meant to fast. We are hardwired to be able to fast and to function highly in the fasted state, and you feel amazing. Like I love being in that fasted state. I'm in it right now. I'm sure you might be, or you might have broken your fast, but
Mm-hmm.
I I thrive on it, and I have better focus. And then it's just and then when you get to eat, you look forward to it, and actually food
Yeah.
actually starts to taste better. If you've never fasted before, like that meal you go out to dinner with or go
Yeah.
for just tastes way better. And so yeah, it is. Yeah, it's very, very liberating. And I also, my training approach kind of ties into that, where I believe you don't need to spend 5 days in the gym lifting weights. I believe if you're efficient and you have maximum intensity, you can get everything done in 3 workouts per week, and you have better neural recovery. I've tested training. I spent many years training 5 days a week, and I've spent now, obviously for the last 8 years or so, it's been pretty much 3 days a week. Sometimes
Yeah.
I'll do 2, but I can hit personal records greater with 3 days a week. And obviously, if you're training more often, it's helpful to have a little bit of temperance and all of that. But if you want to train intense and push for PRs hard, like three workouts a week is all you need on a program. Fasting, eat 2-3 meals a day or 2 meals and a snack, and it's just getting the body of your dreams. Is like it just falls into the background of your life, and it's enjoyable, and you look forward to the workouts. You look forward to dinner.
Yeah. Where do your workouts fall in a day that you're fasting every day? So where does your workout fall time wise?
Yeah, so I've played around with. I don't like to work out first thing in the morning. I also find that it's if you have coffee first thing in the morning, you can kind of wake up and then lift heavy, but it's a little bit harder to go super heavy first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
Unless you have some caffeine can help amp you up. But also I find if you work out first thing in the morning, it's harder to fast. I'm hungrier.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm burning calories right when I wake up, I'm like, I kind of I trigger my appetite earlier.
Yeah.
So I actually like to work out either before my first meal, before the meal I break my fast. So if I have a bit of a later schedule, but if I break my fast at 4 p.m., I like to work out at 2. Or, or I'll work out after that first meal. So between my first and my first meal, my big dinner feast.
Yeah.
So in that case, I might, if I'm having dinner at 7, 8 p.m., I might work out at, 5,
Yeah.
5:36. And so that's I'll either do a fasted training, or I'll eat I'll eat a medium-sized meal and then do my big feast after, and work out in between that. But I found those 2 times to be the best. I do like to get most of my calories in that post-training window, as opposed to before. So I find 400 or 500 calories an hour or 2 before training is fine, or I'll go fully fasted.
Yeah, that's literally exactly what I've stumbled upon as well. I'll either have, like I said, just like coffee or something, or I'll have like a shake that's not going to bog me down, a couple hundred calories. I'll do my workout, and then I like to get most of my food in after that. I really don't like to do a workout if I've had, like I used to, when I would do like big cheat days in the past, I don't really recommend it anymore, but when I used to, and eating like this huge, like 2,000 calorie breakfast and then going to work out was never a great time.
Fuck, yeah, no, not, yeah, you feel a little bloated, yeah.
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 So one of the things I commented on is your strength is really impressive to me. I mean, just overall, but especially for your body weight. So I remember like looking it up, and I saw that even like 9 years ago, you had a video of you doing dips 185 for 3. And I don't remember how long ago the one arm pull up was, but again, very long time ago. And I'm like decently strong at these exercises. I can do, my best ever is 30 pull-ups on any regular day. I can do 25, and I'm about 195 right now. Not as impressive as you on the pressing, but I've hit a 225 overhead press, 100-pound dumbbells for 10. So like, it's respectable strength. And I tried to do a one-arm pull-up, and I was like, this is not going anywhere. Like, it felt like this is impossibly hard. So I'm just wondering how long that took you. Was it a technique thing, you feel like, or were you just really that strong, and did that come early?
You know what? I've had people on my program, the bodyweight one I launched, Movie Star Bodyweight. I launched it basically last March, April of 2020. And I've actually had quite a few people in my program hit the one arm chin up, and I'm blown away, because it took me a long time to do it. Now most of the guys hitting it are probably around 160.
Okay.
But what I found to be like the numbers you have to hit to do it is, first, you should be able to do weighted chin ups with 80% of your body weight. So for 2 or 3 reps. So if you're 180, that's pretty much like 140, 145 pound chin ups for like ideally 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So for you at 195, you're looking at like 155 pound chins for,
that'd be like a 1 rep max maybe for me at best right now.
Yeah.
So
yeah, if you could hit that for a triple, the strength is there. And then it's just a matter of like spending 6 weeks, even just once a week, just spending 6 weeks doing the towel, like wrapping a towel around a pull-up bar, holding that. So that's your assisting hand, holding it pretty low, and trying to just lift yourself up and use just as much from that working arm as possible, and barely use the towel. And I found that just doing sets of 2 or 3 is way better than people can do sets of 6 or 8 if they use more of the arm, but just 2 or 3 barely using that towel. And if you've already got your weighted chin ups up to, I mean, if you cut 5 more pounds, it will definitely help. If you get your weighted chin ups up to even 150 for 3 or 4, and then work on the towels for the towel chins for 6 weeks, you'll get it. And the bigger problem though with the one arm chin ups is that it creates a lot of stress. And like the one injury that's very common from people that are lifting really heavy, that type and on their computer all day long, is golfer's elbow, tennis elbow. And so that's the one reason why I haven't like consistently done it, and I haven't done a one arm chin up in a long time. I haven't tried to, but it's one of those things that's freaking a huge strength feat, something awesome to achieve. But it's just an injury. Like I've already had, golfer's elbow, and it's a nightmare. And so it's just, if I can probably get away with it a little bit, and then my elbow tendonitis will come back. So it's it's risky business. But yeah,
Yeah.
but I actually achieved that. You know, I got really, really strong in like my early 20s, and I started kind of creating my training system at 19, 20 years old. I really had it, the training figured out as far as my approach of, you know, as far as my approach. And you know, I got pretty strong. But like getting, you know, going even like at that level, getting a little bit stronger, is a lot. Like adding 20 pounds to a lift when you're
Yeah.
already at that level is tough. But since then, since I was 21, 22 years old, I was heavy. I had a higher body fat then. So
Right.
I've got my body fat down a few points. I was, you know, and you know, I'm carrying a bit more muscle, and you know, certain lifts like my incline press have gone up a lot, and dumbbell shoulder presses. But I had 80%, 85% of my strength at 21.
Right.
But again, you have to remember that I started lifting at 13, 14.
Which is one
So
thing I didn't realize that you, because I was like, how is this guy? I thought you got started around like 2010 or something as far as lifting. So I was like, how the hell did this guy get so strong in like 2 or 3 years? But it makes more sense that you started so young.
yeah, I started lifting at 13, 14 years old, and I don't think I've ever had like a lot of people start lifting, they fall off, they get
Right.
on. Once I started, I was on. Like there was no question about it. Unless I was up in my cottage for 2 months,
Mm,
but I was still working out. I was doing body weight stuff, and
right.
so I was on since 13, 14 years old. So by 21 years old, I already had 8 years of lifting under my belt, and I was training smart. I did a lot of body weight training. I was doing weighted chin ups and weighted dips at a young age. I ran through some of those basic programs like starting strength,
Mm,
and got my, what, you know, got my, you know, as a teenager, 16, got my 16, I got my squat up to like 275 for 5, which is pretty good.
yeah. Okay.
And you know, I was already benching 2 plates at 16 years old for reps.
Nice.
So yeah, so I was on it. Like, so I was on
Yeah.
it since 13, 14 years old. So it wasn't like, oh, I just started lifting at 20, and then 21, I was a powerhouse. And then it took me like, you know, it was like,
Yeah.
that was my first 8 years to 21. And now I'm on the second 8 years, which again, and again, it's the law of diminishing returns is
Yeah.
something. It would be fun for me to start from scratch and start hitting PRs like crazy every
Sure.
week and put on 50 pounds. But at this level, it's pretty much at my level right now. It's pretty much just having fun with it.
Right.
Just have fun with it. I change up my exercises every 3 or 4 weeks. I'm right now, I'm working on, like, this is what you do after you've been training for over 10 years. And I'm approaching like, I'm like 16, 17 years.
Yeah. Same.
It's fun to, you mix up the goals a bit. So, you know, you might have a, you know, a phase where you're, okay, let's try and get my bench press up, and you'll have fun with that for a few months. And then, you know what? I've loved vertical jumping. Let me focus on,
I
you
saw
know,
you're getting up there, man.
it's getting up there.
Yeah.
I'm at 36 inches.
Wow.
About 35, 36 inches, which is, to me, like, is crazy because, like, I remember when I was training, even at, like, my vertical was around, like I remember hitting 28 inches, and I was putting in work to get to 28 inches. So
Right.
adding
Wow.
yeah. So
It's funny, man. Like, this is so relatable to me because everything you're saying, I'm like, yes, exactly. I started same age. I definitely, it seems like you do have a proclivity towards strength because, I mean, I started at the same age and I didn't hit 225 till I was probably 18. My mom touched the bar and I yelled at her for it because it was the first time I've ever hitting 225.
Even my younger brother, Bryden, there's 4 brothers, but me and Bryden are probably genetically the most similar. And like, he had his program, he had 2 buddies he'd work out with, and they do a very, like, you know, similar starting strength or whatever routine. And then Bryden, his bench, like his they were kind of closer on squat and deadlift, but his bench was in like another ballpark.
Yeah. You said 225 for reps at 16. I mean, that's pretty good, man. Not a lot of 16-year-olds are doing that.
Yeah. I think it was like 3,
Yeah.
if I'm not mistaken. I know I pulled 315 deadlift at 16, but like 14 or 13-year-olds are doing that, so that's not a big deal.
Right.
It's not a big deal, but like I was hitting 225. I actually hit a 300 1 rep max at 18. So, and I have a video of that on my channel, so I know that for sure. But 16 I did 225, and like, And also, like, I didn't hit puberty early, so I hit puberty
Right.
like not early. So
Normally,
I mean,
yeah.
if I hit puberty earlier, you know, could have probably done that at 15. But like,
And did you say you
so
have
it's
four
like
brothers?
there's four of us. Oh no, four including myself.
Okay, gotcha. Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, oh, I was just going to comment on the because again, same thing like with the amount of time I've been training. I mean, strength. It's like if I can get 5 pounds on a lift in like a year, that's like I'm like happy to see that. And so with the pull up, that's kind of where I was like, and same thing like you. I was like, well, everything's more or less maxed out. So the one arm pull up, I don't necessarily think it's the smartest thing for me to do. It was just like kind of like a cool strength goal. I used the machine recently. I actually like tested it to see how much assistance it's giving me. And I did a one arm pull up with about, I still needed about 40 pounds of assistance. And I'm like, okay, 40 pounds on a lift is like nigh impossible at this point. So most of it's going to have to come from either technique or losing weight. Figure maybe I lose 10, 15 pounds. I'm like pretty lean at 180. I wouldn't want to go lighter than that. And then maybe some technique. But is it attainable? I don't know for me. I could probably get close, but we'll see. But I definitely started getting the elbow issues.
Yeah, I think you can hit it. Yeah, that machine, it probably, you probably need less strength than that. I mean, if you're doing, you can do 150-pound chin up for one, you probably just need to hit that for a triple and then just work on technique.
Yeah.
And you know, in the technique, just it's not, there's nothing really to tell you. It just kind of takes time practicing the towel for
Yeah.
your body to kind of figure it out. Just like when people first do hanging leg raises, they're like swinging, and then as they practice it, they learn how to control themselves. So it's probably not 40 pounds you need, but it's just it's a certain technique, and it's, you might have to cut 5 pounds and gain 10 pounds on your weighted chin ups.
Yeah. Yeah.
And but again, you know, it's yeah, you could probably hit it, but it might take 4 to 6 months.
Right.
But it's you hit it, and then it's not like a linear progress where you're okay, I got one
Right.
rep, and then next month I'm getting two, and then
Yeah.
three.
No.
It's a tricky. It's a. I've done like 4 or 5, which was
Wow.
ridiculous.
That is
Yeah,
ridiculous. Damn.
yeah, I've done 4 or 5, and I even like used to work on the pull up one. I was hitting a couple one arm pull ups, but again, it's if you spend all day typing and texting, it's too rough on the elbows.
Yeah. So I mean, it seems like you're definitely focusing still on the strength, but I see you doing sprints, you're doing the jumps. And again, I'm starting to go a little bit more that way myself. Have you recorded like your best mile or anything like that?
My best 1 mile run, I have not recently. I do know when I was I did track, a little track when I was a teenager, 14 years old. I hit I did the 1500 meter, which is just
Just
under 1 mile, and I
Yeah.
hit like 451. So yeah, I had my, cardio came like the cardio, like I was good at cardio, like the cardio stuff, like I was always like, top 3 in my grade. So, so I was good at cardio. I kind of can go either direction, but it's one of those things where if I start working on my cardio a lot and running, I find like my strength and power kind of takes a little bit of a back seat. So I'm not worried about it. But right now, if I did a mile, if I like was motivated, I don't know what I'd hit. Maybe like I'd like to say I'd do 6 minutes, and
Yeah.
then I think I could, if I trained for a bit, I could probably do 5.5. But I just remember doing that 1500 meter, and I was like the most pain I've ever felt in my life.
Yeah.
Like,
Well,
it
dude,
is.
yeah, people who really go hard on endurance, because I've been working on my mile time. Again, it's just like a different goal for me because I was never like a cardio guy. And it's just like a different level. Like, yeah, it's if you do a crazy workout, I'm sure we've all done very like high volume, intense workouts at some point in our life. But like, okay, 60 seconds, the set's done. Like, don't get me wrong, we've pushed very, very, very hard. But the people who can just like grind, and like who does like a marathon, and like the people who are setting records on like a marathon, I think the one guy basically just broke like 2 hours or whatever. Like, just no break, just going and going. And for you, even a mile, right? I mean, that's like just that no break is, I think it's just a different type of pain, And if you're accustomed to lifting for the last decade, it's something that you have to almost like train yourself to get used to.
Yeah, you know what? What'd you get for the mile?
Well, I'm going the other way. I'm working towards a 6 minute mile. I've always been a slow guy, so I'm trying to get a 6 minute mile.
I wanna like validate my 1 mile time, because if I'm throwing out like, oh, I could maybe do 6.5, 6
Yeah.
right now. if I'm throwing those numbers out, I got to validate it. So I gotta go go to a track and run.
Yeah, I'd be curious, man. Post it up.
I mean, I will say though, like last year, I did a little bit of training for the 400 meter. I did a little bit of training for the 400 meter, and I broke the minute, which is
Okay.
considered good, I think.
Yeah.
Pretty good. And my cardio is still there. I think punching Bob like a psychopath a couple times a week helps.
Yeah.
But I'd like to work on that on that. I'd like to just test I love testing, challenging myself. So I'd like to test the run. But yeah, no question about it. Like lifting, like running workouts, cardio, like track workouts are way harder, like willpower wise than lifting. Like I love lifting.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I think it's awesome. Like let's lift that weight, hit some reps. You feel great. Yes. Like if you're doing that heavy, if you're training reverse pyramid training, and you're doing that heavy set, and you're going for 185 standing press, it kind of sucks.
Yeah.
And it's a different type of challenge than running is. Like it's the challenge is like, I have to utilize and activate every muscle I possibly can. And it's neurally exhausting. And it takes like and a lot of people, they're pushing, and you could probably attest to this. You see people in the gym and like, they're not tapping into their potential. Like they kind of, when it gets tough, they kind of give in. But I found that being able to push through those reps, not like necessarily grinding out reps, but actually being able to tap into your potential, which might sound woo woo, but like absolutely, you put me in, you put me in someone else's body, and I'm pumping out more reps and then lifting more weight. And like, it's like there's an intensity. But like the work strength training is freaking fun. People should enjoy it. But yeah, getting your mile time down to 6 minutes or less is not so fun. But some people are hitting like, I have a friend, Mikey, he does my high-end film videos. He was a freaking track star runner, and like he was doing like, he's like averaging 5.5 minute miles for fucking 4 miles, which I'm like, that just blows my mind.
Yeah, no, that's insane. I'd be curious if you ever do a VO2 max test, because that is the hardest thing physically I've ever done. I've done 3 now. And again, with our mindsets of like, basically the idea is, you start on a treadmill, they'll up the speed, and then eventually they'll just start upping the incline. And and you have this mask on, right? You have this mask to get the oxygen tested. And so you go until you literally can't. And so some people, they're like, oh, it wasn't that hard. It's like, yeah, because you just stopped. But for me, I wanted to like beat what I got the last time. So it's literally you go until you would fall off the treadmill, or like you're going to die. So I don't know if you're somebody who likes measurements and to see where you're at, maybe do it.
Yeah, that would be good. Did you ever do that beat test in high school?
The beat test.
You like run like 20 meters back and forth. You have to get there before it beeps, and you keep going.
Oh,
beep.
Yeah.
It gets faster and faster and faster and faster. That was like, that was the most freaking brutal thing ever.
Yeah. So, I guess as far as like your, again, you have this huge brand behind you, and in talking to you, you're, a very normal guy, like very relatable. Did you find that you there was like something to the brand that brings out a different side of you? Because, like talking to you here, like it's, intelligent guy, good conversation, clearly intellectual. And then as far as like your brand, you branch out to a certain type of person who, like you said, there's certain physique goals that they have. You're very, I don't know if I would say eccentric, but you have a bolstering personality, right? And you have that, and you kind of have like a calm side. Was that always how you were, adaptable to, kind of the scene you were in, or was that something that kind of came about as you developed your brand?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think it's, you know what? I definitely come across like more like normal, whatever, in interviews and stuff like that, in conversation. Yeah. But I guess, when you're, it's hard, tricky question, but it's also like, if you have a goal for a video and you want to create, you want to capture people's attention, it's like, you kind of have to, it's like my Bruce Wayne video, for example. It's like, I was deliberately being polarizing.
Sure.
And like, turning the volume up. So it's you know, it's probably something I utilize like for a reason. Like I think, and you know, going back to like when we talked about earlier, I'm like, people that do my program, they follow it. Like people buy my program, they're in it. They're doing it for 3-6 months, and then they're doing the next program, and they're getting crazy results. And I think so part of like the content I do is it's talking with a little bit more conviction. Like I'm like getting people motivated, and I'm getting people kind of out of their seats a little bit, which I think is I think it works. But that's not necessarily how I talk to, you know, my friends
Right.
at a dinner, you know, like I'm that's not me at all. Like so some people can be like surprised if I bump into some like a Kino warrior on the street that you know, they sometimes they'd be like, oh shit, like, you know, you're you know, where's the energy? I'm like, I'm not like filming a video right now.
Right.
All right, what's going on? You know,
right.
So I'm like,
you are burning so much fat right now.
You're burning, you know, it's like, so it's that what I kind of the you know, the personality I put out for the videos is, you know, maybe there's a case to just kind of like, you know, so you know we'll see. But yeah, it's definitely a fair point that I've gone on, where it's like, hey, like, you know, how you are like normally is very different than like how you project yourself. But
to be clear, I'm not even saying I disagree with it. Like on my videos, I don't want to say I'm monotone, but I'm usually pretty relaxed and, you know, just chill. But even that, if I watch my original videos, I look at it and I'm like, man, I am boring as hell. Like, I wouldn't want to watch the video, right? And some people who do very well, and people like a Greg Doucette, obviously to the extreme of that, right? But you can see his original videos, right? You have positive feedback on something and then you continue it, right? I mean, it's just conditioning. So you look at Greg Doucette's original videos, nobody's watching them, right? Because it was just it was kind of boring. And now he's got this huge persona. So I get it. And again, I'm not saying that with you, but like, if you have a brand, if you're trying to get people to, you know, look at a product or promote something, that's kind of how it is. So I wasn't saying it in like a negative. It's just, it's an observation, really.
Yeah, no, it's a fair observation, and yeah, no, I didn't think it was a necessarily a negative thing, but yeah, you know what, it's definitely, you know, it's helped kind of cut through the noise, and I guess that's kind of the point to be made, is that right now fitness is hyper saturated. I thought fitness was saturated when I first got in, and that's what people were telling me. Hey, how are you gonna start this business? Like, there's so many fit trainers, this and that. It's even more saturated, and Instagram, TikTok, all these platforms are hyper saturated. So you have to be able to cut through the noise.
Right.
But part of that also was natural for me, because I can't have like a you know, when I'm excited about something, you know, I can I put that out there. I can be a bit more, you know, exuberant or whatever. But the same time, it's like, I know the language and the tonality to like get people going, you know? And so there's you can talk about the research, the science, the protocol all you want, but you have to, and this is the challenge that, you know, I'd say the evidence-based community, I haven't been paying as much attention to it recently, but I remember, you know, when a few years ago, I was very involved in the evidence-based community, and not to like, you know, I obviously respect their work, and, you know, it's awesome, but it's like, but there was this tendency for them to hate on some of these prolific fitness figures that were just peddling bullshit. They just were saying shit that was downright wrong. And they were kind of hating on it. People were saying like, oh, calories don't matter, X, Y, and Z. But it's like, look, they are the ones that are actually getting their content out there. They're the ones that are reaching millions and millions of people. It's like, yes, you can hate on it, but at the same time, you know, what you do have to respect is like, shit, these people are actually getting their message out. How can I do that as well? And I guess it can be tough if you're holding yourself to a very strict standard. But at the same time, it's like you can only help impact as many people as you can reach. And if you're reaching, you know, so what I've made my mission is like, I was like, my shit works. Say what you want. This works. My transformations are coming like crazy. I would challenge that against any other programs. I haven't seen any other program in the world that is getting as many consistent transformations as mine. And these are before and afters are like, people look at them and they're like, they are dramatic.
Yeah.
So my shit works. Let's get this out there. Like, I don't want someone that's 18 years old that is struggling to lose fat, hasn't found a system that works for them, or 45 years old. I want them to at least have seen my face and been like, huh, okay, this Kinobody guy's talking about, living the life of his dreams, fasting, having a blast and being shredded. Maybe I'm going to give it a shot now. So I at least want to be able to hit people, and then to hit the mainstream like that, you have to be polar. You have to a certain extent, you have to cut through the noise. You have to kind of, grip people with their desires, but give them the results and educate them on how it's going to work. And that's always been that's always been how I even start writing my programs. I quickly identify, hey, this is the problem that you have. This is why you're 16% body fat and you can't get down to 10%. This is why every program you've done, whether it's eating small meals, low carb, this is why it hasn't worked for you, or it worked, but then it stopped working. Here's how we get to your goal. And here are the different mechanisms we're using. Here's why it works. And because for me, I always hated school, because you're going in school and the teachers will tell you, this is what you need to learn. Boom. Like we're teaching this right now. I like a little foreplay, like get me excited. What am I going to learn? How is it going to benefit me? What are the benefits? Why is this cool? And then I like to get excited and then give me and so that's kind of how I've done my programs. But I will say, the evidence-based community, killer work, but they need to learn how to actually put themselves out there. So
I can't disagree with that. I mean, because again, we got into this a similar time, and I'm sure you came across maybe like T-Nation or some of these articles where you read it, and that's something that I miss of like the good old days of when you're still making a lot of progress. And it's like you read something and it gets you so hyped. And you know what? Maybe it wasn't so much better as far as actual end results in some of these other programs. But and again, it sounds like you and I were both in it from the start. But if you're somebody who is 16 and you're kind of into it, you're getting, and you read one article that's like, all right, so this is how you program and you periodize this way, and then you add 5 pounds, or it's like, this is going to make you look this way. And don't lie to people, obviously, but if you can get people excited for it, there's a lot to be said for that. And that's a really good time when you're excited for something and you got this new thing you're doing. It's a cool time. Yeah,
it's cool to be all nerdy about fitness and to love the programming and this and that, but man, you have to, you gotta kind of know your market. Who are you trying to help? And if you just want to make some cool content that's going to get you a clap from the circle of evidence-based guys, that's fine, do that. Okay. But if you actually want to help people make a difference, then you have to basically, the mechanisms that you're teaching are how they get to their goal, but you need to kind of get them sucked into the result. They don't want them, they don't want the mechanism. The mechanism you're teaching them, they don't want that. That's just a tool to get to the result. What do they actually want? And you have to tie that in together. They want to look like a movie star. They want to lose 20 pounds, or they want to, find a diet they love. And so you have to sell them or get them excited for what they actually want, and then tie in the mechanisms and the tools that's going to get them there, which is what I've done. Where, fasting, I'm not hey, I'm not telling people hey, fasting is the goal. The goal is for us to fast. It's no, here's the goal. Here's why fasting is awesome. It's going to help us get to the goal, and here are the benefits of it. But I keep them focused on the goal. And it's all about being goal oriented. I'm hey, look, if you want to build your shoulders up, there's no question about it. Right now you're lifting, this is for the listener, you're lifting 45-pound dumbbells, shoulder press for 5 reps. Okay, if you want to get your shoulders up, you can be in the gym all hours of the day. You can do any program in the world, but if you're still lifting 45-pound dumbbells, your shoulders are going to suck. Yeah. I'm I want those to get up to 90 pounds for 90 pounds. If that's strength. So I'm able to capture their goal and then relate to the mechanism, how it's going to work. And then they get sucked in. And then when they see that little bit of progress, oh my God, my shoulder press, I'm doing 50s now. And then it's just it's shit, this is working. I see the results. and they get motivated and sucked in. But that's definitely my 2 cents. And again, you can have perfect program in the world, but again, the most important thing is someone's got to stick to that program. Someone's got to stick to that diet. And so, yes, the scientific the scientific reasoning has to be there, but it's like, hey, like, can you follow this setup? Like, can you follow this diet? It's like, because for me, like, my nutritional approach, a lot of it is just like, it's like I need to be able to enjoy this and stick to this for years. Right. So I always keep that in mind. Like, I finish my day of eating off with chocolate. Right. more days than not. And I eat chocolate, I'm satisfied. I'm like, I hit my 2,300 calories or whatever it is at the time, and I'm like, I feel great. But if if I'm trying to like have some little chicken rice bowl, and I'm after 400 or 500 calories, it's gonna open up my floodgate. I'm gonna want to eat more food. So.
Yeah, no, knowing your audience is super important. So, and like I said, even just like talking to you, but even I knew this before even talking to you, like your points that you emphasize. I mean, as far as how do you get there, and I agree with the large majority of it, right? We focus on progressive overload. If you're trying to get lean, you focus on a deficit, and what works for you to get there is what we need to focus on. So,
yeah, awesome.
Well, man, I really appreciate you taking the time. I know you're super busy, you got a lot going on. So for people who haven't already seen your stuff, where can they find more of it?
My website's kinobody.com, KINO body.com. And I am pretty active on my Instagram at Gregory O'Gallagher. And I have a lot of YouTube content out there on YouTube if you search Kinobody. So those are, 3 places that I would check out. But like the most, direct access would be Instagram.
Awesome. Thanks a lot, man.
All right. Thank you.